This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Have you been struggling lately? Maybe you're having trouble sleeping, difficulty with the relationship, or just suffering from self doubt. Now, y'all know there's no shame in my game, and life has been lifing lately. Trying to manage the priorities of being a wife, mom, friend, and full time entrepreneur, it can get overwhelming. If this sounds like you, then BetterHelp wants to help you today. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. Talk to a therapist in a private online environment at your convenience. There are over 20,000 therapists in BetterHelp's network, which gives you access to help that may not be available in your area. All you have to do is fill out a questionnaire to assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. How cool is that? Then you schedule secure video and phone sessions. Plus, you can exchange unlimited messages, and everything you share is completely confidential. You can also request a new therapist anytime at no additional charge. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced therapist from BetterHelp. There's a special offer to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast listeners. You get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/slang. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/slang, SLAYING. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. I am here with Ashley Ann, biz builder and entrepreneur of KAA, also known as King Ashley Ann. Hey Ashley, how are you?
Hey, but hey, I'm like super happy to be here. Thank
Yes,
you.
I
I'm
am
doing well. How are you today?
I am doing amazing. Okay. I am so excited for us to be able to have this conversation. Y'all, if you follow her on social media, you see she got married recently. She got married the day before my birthday. So congratulations. Newlywed season. Yes. But we're not here to talk about that. But we are saying, congratulations on your nuptials. So today we're about to talk about all things King Ashley Ann. Okay. If you don't know, you're going to know by the time we get to the end of this conversation. All right. So, Ashley, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Yeah, so I am Ashley Ann. I am a entrepreneur. I'm an award-winning luxury event designer. I am a biz builder. I'm one of the top social media strategists in the country.
Let's
I've helped
go.
over 800 people create six-figure incomes. Over 170 of my clients have made $1 million in under a year. I currently have 12 clients that have had $1 million months,
Come
and
on.
I have 4 clients right now that earn over $10 million a year. And I don't know everything, but I know a lot of things when it comes to business and money, marketing, sales conversion, mindset, all that good stuff. And so I love helping people get paid to do things that they like to do or
Yeah.
things they feel like they're called to do, and just overall helping people to have a better quality of life, whatever that looks like, for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I got started. I've always been creative. I've always had a knack for like design and decor and stuff like that. And when I was going through my graduate program, I had to do a feasibility study. And
Mm.
that's when I realized that I actually would be able to create a profitable business doing event design and production. So I opened that. And then from there, I learned I was super good when it came to social media strategy and conversion and stuff like that. And probably about three, 3.5 years or so after I started the event company, I
Mm.
opened um I opened up an agency, and initially I just focused on Facebook ads. And then from there I ended up getting into like just digital conversion in general. And who knew? Who knew
Clearly, who knew?
all this other stuff would come from it? But yeah, but it's easy for me because everybody focuses so much on the sale, and I don't really focus on selling. I focus
Mm,
building out a community. And so that's what I teach my clients how to do. Like basically your vibe is going to track your tribe. You build a community or find a community that you can belong to. And from there, like really work on serving and connecting with people. And the sales, they're just going to fall in line naturally. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yep.
So, that's really what it's about. And so because I operate that way, I've been able to help people in a variety of different industries and businesses. So, some people are like, oh, I only help beauty professionals, or I only help doctors, or I only help, medical agencies. Or it's not
Yeah.
like that. If you want to make money with your
I
social media or through a digital channel, I can assist with that.
I love it. I love it. Generally, right? When you start in one area, with most people, you start doing something that you like, something that seems like, oh, I could do this, and then you find what your sweet spot is what they call it, right? You find the thing that you're really really good at, and then that's the thing that you like. I could do this all day in my sleep, in my, backwards, forwards, upside down, all of that stuff. Like, this is the thing that, I really love. So, what was the turning point for you? Like, I told you offline, I saw, that the event planning thing. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And you said, like, oh, that's how it started. And then I realized I was actually good at this. So, how did you know, like, this was the transition you wanted to make to like focus specifically on social media strategy and building people's businesses?
So I'll be honest, I don't even have like some deep I went within and do it. No. So what happened is people kept coming and asking me for advice and tips and information.
Mm,
It got to a point people were like, they don't even make a move unless they call me and talk to me. And what was crazier is these specific people all had business coaches that they were spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with.
wow.
And then I went through this other influencers program. They're going to remain unnamed, but basically they got me for a few bands. Because when I say, baby, that course didn't have a bunch of nothing in it, have a bunch of. And I thought to myself, I said, if they got the audacity to come out here and put this out
Listen.
and put this out, I sure know better get some audacity, because I actually have information that helps people. And
Yeah.
start looking at, I'm like, if all these other people are getting paid, but I'm the person over here helping them,
Mm,
accomplish the goals, that don't really make a lot of sense. And so that's literally how I got into, helping people with ads and social strategy
yeah.
and biz development and stuff like that. But it was not, it was literally like, basically I felt like I was doing work for other people are getting paid, but I'm the person doing the work.
Hmm.
And I was like, this don't make no sense. And I like, if they getting paid and they out here offering a bunch of nothing sandwiches, I sure enough should be able to get paid.
But
But
that's a word right there, all together, right? Like you said, how many times has somebody called, like, I seen you do X, Y, and Z. Can you help me with blah, 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 right? And then you like,
yeah.
yeah, sure. And then you realize, wait a minute, like, this is something I could do. Like, if 10 people have now called me about this one thing, I must have some information. And like you said, when you go and you look at other people's stuff and you're seeing like, this is not even half of the information that I actually know, but you out here charging all of these people for, and then they still have to do more work, right? And so
Mhm.
even in that, we always have to ask this question because it's a part of slaying self-doubt. How has self-doubt showed up in your journey?
I feel like more initially when I started on the event side,
Okay.
not even on the social or the digital, but definitely on the event side, because my style and the way I decorate is very unique.
Hmm.
And I was not sure if other people would be into it. And
Hmm.
I was quite progressive for my time, and then specifically in the area of the country I live in. I live in Little Rock, Arkansas. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, wow.
we're slow to adapt things
Yeah.
here.
Hmm.
And so I was like, what if people don't like it? What if I can't get enough customers, to keep the lights on? Like I was in that head.
Yeah.
But then I also had to start countering that every time I had that thought and said, well, what if it does work?
Mm-hmm.
What if there's a section of people out here and they've been waiting for what you have and nobody was here to service them? What if things actually work out, better than you expect them to?
Mm-hmm.
And so literally that was how I started the process of kind of eliminating my self-doubt. Every time I had a crazy thought, I would like literally counter it out loud. And if I was in
Mm-hmm.
a meeting or something and I couldn't say it out loud because it was inappropriate, I would write down the opposite of it. So
Mm.
I really I got very intentional about forcing myself to not, to not just kind of get in that spot of self doubt
Yeah.
and stay there.
No, that's so good because my next question was going to be like, what practical tips did you have? But I love that the saying it out loud, right? Because lots of times it's just this quiet voice that's in your head that's telling you these things. That's saying, no, no, you can't, or had given you all of this doubt. But once you say it out loud, there's power in that, right? Because it kind of just gets out of your system. I tell my clients all the time, like, you got to say it out loud. Like, the first thing is like, what are you afraid of? What is the worst thing that can happen, right? And then tell yourself the truth. Is that the worst thing? Even if that was the worst thing that could happen in your mind, like, how bad is it? Right? Like, really, how bad is it?
That's my thing. It's like, are you gonna die?
Right.
It's
Yeah, exactly.
someone else. Is anyone else gonna die?
If it's
Okay.
as long as ain't nobody hurt, we good.
Yeah, and the other thing I did was like creating action steps is really
Mm,
big for me. So whatever it is that I want to accomplish, I realized that some of my anxiety or my self-doubt was coming because I didn't have a plan. It's like I didn't know
mm,
what to anticipate or what the next step was. So once I started creating action steps, so I knew, okay, I'm supposed to call this person. I need to email this. I need to research this information. I need to go find these 5 people. I need to get these 10 supplies, whatever it was.
yeah.
But it gave me like a strategy, like literally mapping stuff out that really, really, really assisted me. And so that way I wasn't like, oh, what if this? No, it's going to work because here's my plan. Here's the steps
Hmm.
I'm supposed to take. And this is what I'm doing next.
And I also think that is powerful as well, because the Lord says, write the vision, make it plain, right? So we got
Oh,
to write it down,
yeah.
all right? But I also think it's important because then it's also, a lot of, which I talk about often on here, a lot of the self-doubt that we have and the anxiety that we're feeling is this sense of lack of control, right? So when you have a plan and you're following it, this literally that plan that you're structuring for yourself, that list is literally the only control you have, right? And
Yeah.
so if you do these things, then you're responsible for your part. And so if I write down my part, the rest is up to him. I don't have no control over, like you said, if I need to make a phone call, okay, who's the people I need to call? Yeah, I'm going to make these phone calls. I'm going to do whatever it is I need to say. But on the other end, I can't make them say yes. I don't have no
Right.
control over that, right? So focusing on the
Yeah.
end is completely that's another, like, that's not even my business, right? And this year I have coined 2023 as the year of doing, because in this slang self-doubt journey, we get so caught up in the what if this, what if that we don't do. And so making that list forces you to do, which means that you're remaining in action, right? You're continuously, and if you focused on just doing, you can't even be worried about the results because you're busy. The only
That's right.
time we get stuck is when we ain't got nothing to do, right? And we just
Come on now.
idle time, right? You just over here thinking of all the things, but you ain't even moving. So I love those, like the practicality of saying it out loud, writing it down, and creating a plan for yourself. That is, yep, that is, those are the steps that happen within the slaying self doubt journey. Those are what I tell my clients. Like, this is what you need to do, and you have to do the work, right, in order for you to be able to see the success that you would like to see, or the results that you want to see. Rather, like, you can't predict the outcome. You can only control what you can control, which is you, me.
Yeah.
That is
And
it.
I would say doing the work and doing the work consistently because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when I look at people, they're not consistent and they don't show up for themselves every day. So they may like, oh, like, I'm excited. It's the new year. And you may get a week, maybe 2 weeks of effort out of them. And then after that, boom, it's back to what it was
Yeah.
before. And all of a sudden, here it is, a month has passed, 3 months have passed, 6 months, and now it's another year, and you're in the same
Mhm.
position that you were before because you didn't show up consistently for yourself. So I think that's the other part, is just being willing to, like, every day, like, work at it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So let's talk about it. How do you remain consistent? You know what I'm saying? Like when, yeah, how do you remain consistent?
I'm gonna say being disciplined.
Mm.
I know everybody that I was like, "How are you motivated?" I'm not motivated. Yeah, like I don't think anybody's motivated 100% of the time.
Mhm.
Um, if they are, they're a very unique butterfly, very rare person on the planet Earth. Most of us are disciplined, and
Mm.
it comes from being focused on what the overall goal is, right? Being able to tell yourself that even though you can't see something happening, it's working for your good.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
making progress. Also, a big part of being consistent is what you feed yourself. Like, what are you listening to? For instance, like
Mm.
this podcast is it's good information to listen to. You know what I'm saying? It's good for this to get in your mind, in your soul, in your heart, like to even be able to pull from other people's experiences and say,
Yeah.
but you know what? These 5 people or these 10 people or everyone said before they got to their breakthrough, before they hit their goal, they felt XYZ. I feel that
Mhm.
way now.
Mhm.
Keep going because I know I'm close to it. So definitely like guarding what you listen to, like
Yeah.
music, shows, all of that. The next thing is literally, even I put it like this, I don't no one's 100, all the time, but literally, even if you have to take a break today because it was just too much, or maybe you're sick or something happened with one of your kids,
Yeah.
commit to yourself to say, okay, I missed that hour today, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
pick the hour back up tomorrow, or I'll pick that hour up 2 days from now, so I can make up
Yeah.
with. So literally that, and the other part is creating the time.
Mm.
um, it's gonna be impossible to be consistent if you don't create the time.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is we get so busy with other stuff and other people's requests and all of our little projects and whatever is happening. And so creating the time for you may look like waking up 30 minutes before everybody else, when it's quiet and before your phone rings or before your kids bother you or your
Mhm.
mom asks for something or you have to go to class, where it's like, okay, this is my 30 minutes where I get to just focus specifically on my goal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Business or financial or physicality or whatever it is. So
Mhm.
I would say creating the actual time, or if you need to put it in your calendar, the same way you would put a doctor's appointment on the calendar or an important meeting on the calendar. Nope, on Tuesday at 2 o'clock from 2 to 3:30, that is
Yep.
the time I work on my business, and I don't take any other calls. I don't take any other meetings. I don't travel to other places. I am here to do this because my vision is just as important as everyone else's requests.
Yes, that she listen, y'all. Because I read a book a while ago that was like, you put the stuff on your calendar. Whatever you put on there, when we say we don't have the time, you approved all the time that you using, right? And so if you say yes to somebody else, you saying no to yourself. And lots of times as wives, mothers, women, we have a tendency to feel like everybody else's needs are have to be before ours, and then we find out when we sick or when something that happened and you're like, no, I need to take care of me. And constantly you are hearing people tell you the same thing. You have to take care of yourself first. You have to pour into yourself in order for you to be able to pour into others, especially if you're doing work where you're working with other people. You can't serve from an empty cup. If everybody's supposed to be getting your overflow, well, child, it's
That's
not gonna work.
it's anytime you're trying to pour from an empty cup, you operating in dysfunction.
Yeah, every single time,
Yeah.
every single time. So, what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before?
Oh, so much about myself. First thing I would say that I've learned about myself is that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was.
Mm,
Um, I'm a lot more resilient as far as having the ability to bounce back and keep getting up when other people would quit. I also had no idea that I was such a patient person. When I don't freak out, I don't think it's not gonna happen. I don't panic. I'm like, hey, it's gonna get there. Even
mm,
takes, 6, 8 months, 6 years, longer than what I thought. I
Yeah.
know that's gonna work out. Um, very organized, that I'm super tactical. I'm really good at making a plan and executing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, ridiculously focused. No matter what has come my way, like no matter what illnesses, no matter what emotional instability, no matter what like trash relationships, no matter the disappointments, no matter like life events, shocking information, people, very close to me, like transitioning off of this plane,
Mm-hmm.
like no matter what came my way, I was still able to say, okay, this happened and I'm going to deal with this, but also I got to keep going.
Yeah.
I got to stay focused. And unfortunately, the majority of people that I meet don't have that personality trait and that capability. And I'll be honest, that's really what defines successful people that hit their goals from people that
Mm,
don't. Like, literally, I don't know one super successful person that when things don't go their way, they just throw in the towel.
mm.
You keep
Yeah.
going no matter what happens in your life.
Yeah. I think, so I agree. And I also think that something that you said in that is that the posing, right? Even you're still moving, but you
Yeah.
acknowledging what happens. Where I think the problem comes in is where people think they don't have to acknowledge it. Like they kind of like uh push it to the side or push it down, right?
Yeah.
Versus like if I'm like if just like grief. Okay, so if I'm grieving, like let me acknowledge that I have some grief. Let me acknowledge what this situation is. But like you said, like but ain't there still more work to do, right? Like whatever it is. But I think what happens is people just be like, I'm gonna just push it down. And then when it becomes too much, then they explode versus being able to take each time something happens, deal with it until it's complete. And everybody's completion time is different, right? Somebody else may
Mhm.
say, okay, I only need a couple of hours to be able to process this, deal with it, know what I want to do with my feelings, and be okay. And someone else, it may take them a day or two, right? But the
Yeah.
difference is that you can't sit in it, right? You can't. That's what happens. That people just sit in whatever it is that disappointment. No matter what the disappointment is, they sit in the disappointment, and then it becomes a pity party. And it's oh well, it's me and these things. And then, like you said, you're never able to kind of regain any momentum versus being able to say like, yeah, I'm disappointed, and I still have because if you have somebody to take care of, right? I can be disappointed, but my kids still got to eat. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? I mean, that's really what it boils down to. You would still have to go to work. You would still have to. And I think sometimes in this entrepreneurship journey, people think they have we got unlimited time, right? And I always am like, God gave you something, but if you ain't going to use it, trust me, he will take it back and give it to somebody else. And if he
Absolutely.
going to give it to somebody else because you over here wait until you feel better, you're not going to always feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
And
a
I don't think that people understand though that like whatever is supposed to come into fruition is going to come into fruition whether you're a part of it or not. And
absolutely.
I absolutely positively believe that thoughts and ideas are transferable. And if it's sent to you and you don't do anything with it, I think it gets sent to another person that's going to act on it.
Oh, I know it was like maybe like a year ago. I had somebody text me and was like, "Are you at this conference?" And I was just like, "No." And they were like, I overheard somebody saying something about slay self-doubt. And I said, "What now?" That this is before I got it trademarked. And I said, "Oh, not on my watch." I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
Lord, you ain't got to that's enough right there."
He was giving you a warning, like shots fired. Like, girl,
Right. I was
you
like,
better get out here and do something with this.
I said, okay, I got you. That was very clear. I was like, let me call this attorney. Can we get this started? Because what I don't want to happen is for you to take this away. And I was like, and it was too close because here I am doing it. And the minute someone says, I thought that was you, it's like, are you here? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm at home. Like, but it's such I mean, clearly it's but I'm like, if you recognize that phrase and you thought of me, how many other people would recognize it and think of me? And I'm over here being like, well, I don't really know if I'm supposed to do it and blah blah blah. I was like, no, I'm done. You get don't
Okay.
don't you even worry about it. That is
That
mine.
Done.
Done. Period. Okay, we are good. So let's talk all things King Ashley Ann. First let's talk about the name. Okay, like how because of course automatically people would think Queen Ashley Ann, like, or it's like would it let's talk about that first.
Right, but the Queen actually, and it don't even sound right. It
I
don't even
know it don't, right?
don't even flow right. So basically, so my old handle used to be Ashley and Speaks, and
Hmm.
that for people to book me like for public speaking engagements and workshops and stuff like that. And so I had started up late night business, and we were helping a lot of entrepreneurs. And I was like, I gotta get something that kind of fits more, what's going on.
Hmm.
And I was trying to think of a new name. And the first time I ended up seeing a crown, and it was like I get stuff in threes, and it was like a
Hmm.
king or something like that. Then we were at the Galleria in Houston because I actually was headed to an event to speak, and I bumped into this man. Like, I mean, I'm talking like literally just like ran into him. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry.
Hmm.
But on his shirt, it said King of something, and it had like two crowns. And then literally I'm in my YouTube, and this story about King Peggy shows up in my timeline. So I wanted to go and investigate. And I found out that there were all of these women kings.
Mm.
I go and I look up the definition of king, and king is actually a position or title of power. It didn't have a gender attached to it. It did say typically it's a man, but it didn't say it's exclusive to a man. And then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that'd be like if a woman became the president of the
Right.
United
It
States.
would be she would still be the
The
president.
president,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, okay. So then I went and looked up queen, and queen actually by definition said a position or title that holds no power, typically the wife of a king. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not going to be
Hold
speaking.
on.
I'm not speaking no power in my life. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I continued to do my research all the way back into the pharaohs, and even the women pharaohs, they were still pharaohs. It wasn't like people called them pharaohnettes or something like that, right? They were still
Right.
pharaohs. So that made me more comfortable with embracing like the dominion that I
Yeah.
life. And I was like, it's settled. I was like, it's King Ashley. And my sister was like, I like it. She was like, it sounds good and it feels good. I said, it feels good to me too. And that was that.
Let's go. But hold on, just the lesson that we just got in here is that the queen has no power, and that right there in itself just made me, I mean, clutch my pearls, because that is more like you said. You're just the wife of the king, the person in power. Even that is very interesting, very very interesting. I
And
like
it's
it too.
right. Now I know Queen Regent on the other side, right? That's more of like a ruling queen, but that's
Hmm.
that's a westernized thing. All of the people before, if there were women and they were in that role, they just had the title, whatever it was. And lots of women back in the day, um, especially on the continent of Africa, they chose to go by king because other rulers did not
Oh,
respect
didn't.
the title of queen.
We just got y'all just got told something today, okay? So I want that to go ahead and marinate in your spirit before you be out here calling women queens, okay? Just no, we need our power, okay? We need our power. So that was a side note. So I wanted you to talk to us about what it is that you do. You've given us some tips that I can already tell, and how, because some of the questions I wanted to ask as you were sharing about like how your remaining consistent and disciplined, and how you were handling your self-doubt as it was showing up. I was wondering when you were sharing that, like, are these some tools and like tools that you're teaching your clients in how they should be running their businesses when these things kind of come up? You know what I'm saying? Like, what when they're scaling their businesses and doing these things, because I believe this self-doubt shows up and at different times.
Mhm.
It's always something that we're slaying for the most part. um, Whether or not those things kind of trickle into what it is that you're teaching people.
Absolutely, positively, because at the end of the day, you're the leader or the owner of your business. So if you're not feeling good, if your strategic mind is kind of kaput, right? If your vision has become cloudy, it's going to affect the overall path that everything,
Mm-hmm.
you're just not going to be able to accomplish things. And also, when people are like kind of inundated with self doubt, you'll notice that they start to make very bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because honestly, they kind of not kind of, they slide into panic mode.
Yep.
So it's very important to keep people confident in their decisions and their products and their abilities and the actual process. And systems help a lot with that, like literally having your SOPs in place, having on the automated side. I believe in human element, but I do believe in automation, especially for solopreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
very small teams, right? So being able to tap into the power of automation, having an order for yourself as far as like that day, what you're running, so that way you're continuing to accomplish things on your to-do list. So
Yeah.
therefore, that helps you stave off the self-doubt. If you see that you're making progress, you're going to have way less self-doubt than
Mm-hmm.
somebody who feels like they're stagnant and they haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so true. That's just like what we were saying earlier. Like when you were talking about creating a plan, like if you're moving forward, you don't have time to be focused on anything else because you're doing, right? Like as
Mhm.
long as you're doing, then the rest is like, oh, you miss all the other stuff you don't get caught up in the things that don't matter, right? The falling down the social media rabbit hole, having people wrapping you up when you talked offline about being present in and what you're doing and how, when your phone is on, if it's, not in work mode or not on airplane mode, that you're able to just really hone in on what's happening at that very moment so that you can see it to completion. Versus, somebody give you a call and now you try and figure out, oh, what's happening over here. And, it's just kind of throwing you off. Um, but yeah, so I see that you offer lots of things and you do lots of things. So let's tell the people what it is that you offer. What do you do and what can you do for them? And it looks like you do a little bit, you do a lot of things, little bit for a lot of people. That's what I say.
Yeah, so basically, I help people ultimately figure out their target audience and the proper offer for that audience. And then once we get that done, the system and how it's going to be offered, and then scaling that.
Mm,
So, I have a sector of people, I consider them beginners if they're making under $25,000 a month in profit. And we help them get everything set up and going in those initial sales, and then, my one-to-one clients were normally focused on scaling. So
mm,
those are trying to get to a million, 2 million, 10 million, 15 million, whatever. And so that's when we really get hyper focused on like their advertising campaigns, the relationship they have with their audience members, trying to see if we can shorten down conversion times, all of that good stuff. But
yeah.
that's the quick and dirty. So if you're a beginner, like I'm talking about, don't even know what your product or offer should be,
Mm,
we help them. And if you're looking to scale, I assist with that too. But again, and more specifically, people that want to use social media or the digital channels to be able to create, an additional stream of income for themselves.
yeah.
That's really who I
Where
assist.
your
And
focus.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it's everything. Like everything from helping you put together a daily routine and finding time in your day so that way you can create whatever it is you want to create, all
Mm,
the way into making sure your business is structured properly so that you can get funding, for your
mm,
projects, all the way down to how do we get your first 10 sales, or with somebody more established, how do we turn, your 10 sales into 100,000 sales that year. So
yeah.
anything involved on the business development side, that's pretty much what I do, and that encompasses a lot of different things.
I told y'all, I said she do a lot of, she helps a lot of people. What did I just say? Like,
You
look, it
said I
just
do
literally,
a little. You said I do a
you do
little
a
more.
little bit of everything. Yeah, you do a little bit for a lot of people. See, yeah, I was like, hold on, I just lose that. Okay, so what I was going to ask is, you say something as you were talking about this and in the beginning, that your vibe is your tribe. And so I want to talk really quickly about how important it is to build community, because that's what you said. A lot of what business is building community and building, your tribe and your people. So I want to talk about why that's so important, and like maybe like two things that people could do quickly who are listening to the episode if they just want to start, building. Because a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people that's like their biggest struggle. Like, I don't know who my people are. I don't know who I'm, blah, blah, blah. And also I had somebody recently I was talking to who was just saying like, she wanted to do like post more on social media, but she felt like she was doing the most, right? Like, however she worded it was just like, I just don't want to be, she said overbearing. That's what she said, in what she was talking about. And I was like, well, how do you show up to your clients? Because for me, you gonna get me. Like, you're gonna get me no matter what. You're gonna get me every single time we have a conversation in person, on a podcast, in a client session. I'm going to show up as me. If I were you, if I was your client and you showed up one way on social media, but then in our one-on-ones, you a completely different person, I'm gonna feel like I was robbed. Like, who is this?
Mhm.
Right? It's fluke, right? That's just my personal view. But I want to ask you, like, why is it so important? And what are some steps people can do to start to build their tribe?
Yeah, like you absolutely right though. You got to be authentic. People want what they want, the experience that they're having, and that's also a part of your brand. People
Mm-hmm.
think branding is just colors and logos, but it's not
Right.
how people feel when they have an interaction with you or your company, no matter if it's the product or social media, an in-person event, a customer service query, it doesn't matter. The interaction and the thoughts that they're having, that is really what your brand is. That's the essence.
Yeah.
So being authentic is going to be step one, and is going to keep you from being exhausted because social media
Mm.
has some energy. And normally when you're out here faking and fronting and trying to be something that you're not, it is exhausting. You will have such a challenging time
Mm-hmm.
trying to connect the dots. So that's that on that thing. But as far as tips, you need to really think about who is using your offer. And when I say
Mm.
who, I'm talking about like how old are they? Where do they live? Why are they using it? What do they use it in conjunction with? What are they using after? What do they use before? What's the challenge like? And how does that customer define what their challenge is or the goal that they would like to accomplish? If you
Mm.
answer any of those questions, you're going to have a real hard time selling. You should know everything about your customers forwards and backwards and backwards and forwards. The
Yeah.
next thing, once we learn who they are, you're going to be hyper focused on the language that they use. A lot of people discount how important words are,
Mm.
and being able to get someone to buy into whatever it is that you want them to buy into, that comes from using the proper language
Mm.
and terminology. So always, it was so funny to me. I remember I had put up some post or something on Instagram, and my audience is in between like 25 and like 48, and it doesn't
Okay.
mean I don't have outliers. I definitely
Right.
have people in their 50s and 60s in the kingdom. We have some 17, 18-year-olds in there,
Mm-hmm.
but like 80% of my audience, they're between 25 and 48. And so somebody wrote underneath one of my posts, says like, sis, you ate. And I was like, oh, thanks. And the older people were like, what did she eat? I didn't food. I missed it. What are you guys talking about? What is she like? They literally did not understand. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get it.
They didn't
That
get it.
they was saying so language is important, because if I tried to make an ad or a post or a meme or something, or I put in an email, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I try to use that terminology, the older people in my audience would be like, what?
Yeah. Who will
What's going
ate
on?
what?
But they're
What
actually
time is dinner?
right. They looking for a plate, okay? Compared to someone younger, they're not gonna feel that way. So the language
Yeah.
is important, and being able to describe things in the words that your audience uses. You want
Mm.
a bang up sales page? Use your audience terminology. You want a bum ad? Use their information. You want to get people in your live streams? You have to use the language that they are using, so that way it resonates with them and is relative to them.
Yeah.
And the last tip that I would give whenever it comes to building community, whatever your free 99, aka your lead magnet or your free gift, whatever you want to call it, whatever that is, make it worth somebody's while. Just because it's free doesn't mean that you get to be lackadaisical about it. This is
Yeah.
their first interaction with you, and this is the first opportunity you have to build trust with your community. So you need to make sure whatever it is that they're getting, they need to feel like they robbed you. They need to feel
Mm,
we're getting it for free. And if you
mm.
haven't created something that's a banger like that, then go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, those were really, really good. Like I'm over here like mentally taking notes, like trying to remind myself, girl, you were in an interview. Like pay attention. But no, that those are really, really good tips. And I love that the language part, right? Because a lot of times, I'm getting older, right? My kids are teenagers now and they be saying stuff and I be like, oh, that mean X, Y, Z. They be like, it don't mean that no more. So you also got to know that there's some words that I'm an 80s
Yeah,
baby that we've been using in the 80s and 90s that these kids that now that is not what that meant in 92. I don't know how y'all changing up our
right.
words.
They put a whole new definition on a good
Right. And you be like, oh, so that's not good no more? Oh, okay, got it, got it. So yeah, no, I think it's very important that you speak, like you said, speak your people's language, your tribe's language, what it is that they know. But that's a part of that like no trust factor, right? Like if it
Mhm.
and that authenticity, right? If it doesn't feel right, people can feel when you being inauthentic. Like they just
Yes.
know. So you can fake if you want to, but people gonna know something don't seem right. I don't know what it is. I can't put
Yep.
my finger on it. That's what that is. When you can't put
Yep.
my finger on it, but it don't seem right. Okay, well, that's why I'll be like, this is me. You gonna get all this DMV every single time you meet me. That's what it's gonna be. I can't be nobody else but myself. And it's
And
a
you should
win every single time.
right. And you shouldn't have to be nobody but yourself.
I
Because
shouldn't have
they'll
to
be like,
be.
they be like, I like her.
Yeah.
Right.
They,
And I,
they
and I and I say this, even if people don't necessarily like who you are, I'm not gonna lie, they have to respect
mm-hmm.
you for being yourself. And, I think in the social media streets, people are trying to wonder, they're like, people are looking for like some magic formula or some it factor. It's not. Most of the people, like, don't get me wrong, you got the ones that are faking and frauding and putting up a facade, but
Correct.
people there that are sustainable, people that are able to, kind of withstand whatever comes at them, you will notice that they're being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for them.
Yeah.
And so if you can just hold on to that and not get caught in, for the listeners, like if y'all can hold on to that and not get caught up in, well, she's doing this or he's doing that, so I need to modify and change myself to fit that. You are going to, like, when I say you're going to win, you're going to win. And your pace may be a little bit slower, but you are going to be able to be the last man or the last woman standing. And
Yeah.
I know experience, you know what I mean? And I get it. Sometimes it looks like people are just doing so amazing, but a lot of them, you know, you don't, I'm gonna put it to you like this, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And
Absolutely.
everybody ain't faking and fronting for the gram, but there are a lot of people that we've seen, especially during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
that people thought were doing so great and they got exposed big
Yep.
time.
Yep.
And then those of us that were really about that life, baby, we were just swimming like fish in the water, honey.
Mm-hmm.
We were just going on about our business, ain't skipped a beat,
Yep.
ain't missed nothing. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
just weathered the storm and made it on out, and nobody was able to expose us, for anything. And that's another peace of mind you should have with being authentic, is the fact that no one can expose you,
Yeah.
right? Because that ruins the trust that you have with your brand, your audience, other vendors, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, is really, there's so many benefits to just being authentic and, figuring out what your roadmap looks like for you and
Mm-hmm.
then buckling down and getting to work.
Yeah, that's that. That you're absolutely right. It's so easy, and I would say that as bad as a rap that social media does get, There's some benefits to it, but a lot of it is that comparison. You see somebody else like, oh, they doing this, that seems like that might be able to fast track what I'm trying to do. But to your point, like your path is your path. It's already written. So you can fast track if you want to. I guarantee you get sat down, slowed up, all of that. And then you be like, how, why aren't I moving? Because you was doing too much. You was doing too much. And now you
Doing
need to
doing too much and not enough all at the same time.
listen, out of order. You are out of order. Okay. That's what end up happening. Then you be like, I don't even know. Like you said, then that's when you get exposed. People be wondering. And then they like, I told you it was something about her because you was doing the most. You was doing the most. So be yourself, authentic to yourself. So King Ashley, how can the people connect with you? How can they figure out? Yeah, she told y'all from intro to seven figures. She got you. Okay. Like you a beginner or you a big dog. She got you. Like, so how can they connect with you?
I'm at King Ashley Ann on all social media platforms. I hang out on, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I feel like TikTok and YouTube are my favorites right now.
Okay.
Even though they're my smaller out of all my platforms, Instagram is my biggest, and I be over there. But I like YouTube because you're really able to get more in depth with people.
Yeah.
And I like TikTok because it's so easy to make new friends over there.
It
And
is.
it's fun. And they set it up to be very communal with like the stitches, stuff like that. And also, what I love about TikTok, for any of you guys that are listening, y'all didn't ask me. This is unsolicited. But please start TikToking. It's so much easier to grow over there. And literally, you can take your audience from TikTok and get them to come to your YouTube or get them to join your community or get them, whatever it's going to be. So just give it a college try.
You know what it is? TikTok is fun. I think that's what it was. Like Instagram started out being fun and then it became work. And then it's like, it became work. And it was like, child, this is too much. Like
Instagram was fun and Facebook ruined it.
That's basic. And which is why none of us is on Facebook. Right. You got your I have a page on here, right? Like to kind of have on the platforms. But yeah, I like TikTok. And you get to be like, for me, like I said, being authentic, like I get to do my part, but also be funny and silly and be myself and all those things. And they be quick. They be moving. So you better catch it. You better catch it. Yes. Well, thank you so much, King Ashley. I am so glad that you were able to join us today. See, the phone was doing all what it want to do. I just want to thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you being on here, sharing all your tips and these gems. Y'all make sure I'll have all her information in the show notes so that you are able to get connected with her. Thank you so much.
One other thing.
Okay.
So for everybody with Slaying Self-Doubt podcast, I'm doing my part to combat the false information out there.
Okay.
So I send you a link so you guys can come to a training for free. This is like a $2,500 training, but I want your audience to be able to come for free.
Yes.
Now this is a real training, y'all. This ain't no BS fluffing up an hour. I don't play no games. Some of y'all don't know nothing about me. Prepare to have your wig snatched. Okay.
Okay then.
This is like a full, like a real training. So we're gonna be together like 3 or 4 hours. Okay.
And let's go.
Because there's no way I can tell you how to monetize social media and put it in 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to break down the actual systems, the softwares, the tools that you use, how you put stuff together, what should be in your email sequences, how you find your target audience, how you grow a page without any money or ads. If you are running ads, what your best practices, like we going through all of that. Okay.
Let's go.
So I will make sure that we get you a link. So it's in the show notes.
Yes.
So your audience can come to that for free. Like I'm very intentional about that this year because there's so much BS out here in these social media streets. And, I get it. Once you find a mentor or coach or a program or something you want to be in, yes, go and pay them people. But you have to have some type of understanding and some type of general knowledge so you don't get out here and get hustled.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to put together this class. I'm going to do it for free. I'm committed to doing this training at least once a month.
Okay.
So I'll make sure you guys get the link and y'all can pull up.
Yes. We listen, I'm going to make sure I'm going to be there. So I'm going to make sure that the slayers are there. Okay. We need to know. We all need to know.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
You're so welcome.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.